found my perfect sound. Can you see the fire in my eyes? Bitches burning out. Lightning in a bottle. I think I just found my perfect sound. Can you see the fire in my eyes? Bitches burning out.
Welcome in. It's First Choice Fantasy. We're back this week. Start sits. That's our staple, right? Today, we broke it into two. Last week. We had 30 minutes of start sits. Today, we got 10 minutes, probably not. Running backs and wide receivers. If you didn't watch quarterbacks, tight ends, you have a dilemma there. Go check it out. But running backs, wide receivers, right? How did we do last week, Alex?
Some of us did better than others. I went 4 for 4 on receivers. I'm not talking about running backs.
That's fair. I went, I think,
free
0.
Jared McKinnon. Free Ronald Jones as well.
I went 0 for 2 with running backs. Gus Edwards got hurt. Sermon didn't even play. So I would consider those two as not counting.
Oh, no. Sermon counted in your record.
That's corny. Anyway.
Hey, man, he wasn't hurt. Healthy scratch.
I mean, up until last minute, though, you could have changed him, you know? I could have changed him, but I didn't. But anyway, speaking of changing, I changed Ronald Jones from a sit to a David Montgomery sit, which also bit me in the ass. So I was 0-2 last week.
No, you changed it to DeAndre Swift. Demont was already on there.
Fucking DeAndre Swift.
Oh my God.
Even worse.
Doubled down. Damn.
And Brandon, how'd you do last week? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know the specific players, but I know I went 4-7 with one injury. Raheem Mostert, I'm assuming, was the injury. And
Yeah,
you were 2-1 in running backs, and then Mostert got hurt. So
he would have had a good game.
2-1 in running backs, and 2-5
bad.
elsewhere. So I guess that makes you the running back expert. So Brandon, why don't you kick us off? Who you start?
Start. You guys everyone, all 5 of you, including both of you two and myself. Start Najee Harris versus the Raiders.
I will actually be sitting him in our dynasty, but go ahead.
Oh, start him. The Ravens clearly have had an awful past few weeks with running backs. They're literally down to their third string running back, and Latavius Murray, who's been on their freaking roster for 4 days now. And Latavius Murray didn't do so well, but the other guy, Willliams, he did pretty good. I think it was a 4th and 1 or something, and he went right through the hole, scored a touchdown. I think Najee Harris, with the workload he receives, he will go right through the hole that the offensive line will not make for him. He's going to make it himself. So you damn straight. You start
as long as we get that point out of the way.
Mm-hmm. So Najee Harris is a start.
What else you got? Let's keep it here.
Doubling up? Okay. I got Devin Singletary. You never would have guessed it. Well, the Bills are going to implement they're just running with Devin Singletary. He's the guy. Zach Wilson's a healthy scratch. He's not there. Devin Singletary.
Zach Moss.
Who did I say?
Zach Wilson. That's all good.
Zach Wilson. Yeah.
Running back.
Zach Wilson will be playing with the Jets that day. So Devin Singletary will have the backfield all to himself.
Got the division right.
But Damian Harris had a day to himself against Miami.
So he fumbled.
Yeah, he did fumble.
Hey man, Ramondre, bro, JJ Taylor is going to be RB1 down there now.
Probably.
Fuck yeah, that's what I said. Sleeper episode, JJ Taylor. But Devin Singletary, he's the workhorse back in this backfield. They don't use the running back that much, so it would make no difference if they implemented like a running back by committee. Which, I guess you could count Josh Allen as the committee. But Devin Singletary, he can catch. He can run. He's gotten a little better at running, actually. It looks a little better. But that's a pretty favorable matchup. I think Devin Singletary will have a good week.
Bold, but what else is bold is I'm not into this Bruce Arians shit, benching a guy over fumbling and then not benching a guy over fumbling. I get it. It wasn't a fumble, but don't tell me that that pick wasn't a fumble, because it was. He had it,
awful.
And then it was in the hands of a Dallas player. So you tell me whose fault that is. But no, I'm not here for the slander. I'm sticking with my man Rojo. He's my start. It's my start of the week.
Same. Well, not week, but he's a start for me.
My start of the week. And I'm also going with Chris Carson because the Seahawks are going back to running the ball 85 times a game, and Tennessee's defense is bad.
Does make sense. I respect it. But Russell Wilson's going to snap. Anyway.
Hey, both of it is going to happen. Carson did not – he was efficient, but he didn't score any touchdowns, so he's going to get on the board.
He could get some yards, and Russell Wilson gets touchdowns. We'll see. But, yeah, I can respect it. On to mine, obviously, Rojo was my one of the two. Last year, he had 2 points against one team. Then he had like 17, and then he had 4 points and 19. It's like he has a bad day, comes out bright and shiny the next week. So the other one is a running back who got overshadowed by Melvin Gordon's 70-yard touchdown, whatever it was at the end of the game. Javonte Williams. Jacksonville got ate up last week by the Texans running backs. Mark Ingram's 23 carries for 98 yards, whatever the foul play was. But yeah, I do think that the Broncos will be trying to run the clock a little bit because I think, the defense is good. I don't think the Jacksonville offense is all that, especially after last week. I think Javonte is going to get a decent amount of work. Last week, you probably were a little bit upset if you started him. I did so. I think he got like 5 points, but it is what it is. I expect him to put up like 10 plus points this week. I'm sure Sleeper hasn't projected for 10. So, yeah, it'll be a good week for him. Possibly a touchdown, definitely some receiving work, decent amount of carries. It's a fine start. Flex play. I like it.
Who do you not like?
You know me? I don't. You want to hear something? All right. Everybody's going to be mad because they probably burnt their waiver wire money on this guy. And they're probably going to be mad because they're probably should be mad. They're going to click off the video, right? The player is Elijah Mitchell. So I think this is
was very nice of you to wait for everyone to exit out of the video before you continue.
You're right. And my points probably won't ring true, but I mean, I'm either right or I'm wrong pretty much. My points may not matter. But Elijah Mitchell against the Philadelphia Eagles, he's having high praise. People are probably picking him up saying, oh, he's a running back too. He had 19 points last week. That doesn't matter. You just think for a second, right? Raheem Mostert is injured. Yes, he is injured. The Eagles' defense the defensive line's fucking great. And we'll just say that. Secondaries, linebackers, So there's a decent.
We'll give up some yards in the running game though. They didn't really seem too interested in stopping that in the Falcons for a little bit.
Well, Cordarrelle Patterson is a little strange. And I mean, it is hard to stop the San Francisco 49ers. So I will say they probably have a decent amount of yards. But I do think Elijah Mitchell's getting too much hype to this point. And the fact that Trey Sermon could possibly just come in, I don't know what Shanahan was on last week. Trent Sherfield got snaps over Brandon Aiyuk. Trey Sermon was a healthy scratch. Out of nowhere, all of a sudden, Elijah Mitchell was better than him in training camp. According to the beat reporters, it's a bunch of false news, but beat reporters probably just get paid to do nothing practically nowadays. Elijah Mitchell against the Eagles, I just don't want to start him. I don't feel comfortable yet. Got 19 points last week. What more can you ask of him? Consistent. He's a fucking 6th-round rookie. In Shanahan's offense, who's Jekyll and Hyde running backs, obviously, in the past couple of years. And, yeah.
I'll say I kind of respect this pick because although we saw what he did last week and he looked great, that's great. Like, good for him. But, Kyle Shanahan didn't anticipate Raheem Mostert getting injured. So you haven't seen Mitchell alongside another. Like, it's going to be a running back by committee, and Hasty he's not very good. He's a special teams player, so you're going to see Mitchell running alongside Trey Sermon, and that's what you're going to see. I'd wait one more week, see what they do together, and who knows, maybe Mitchell will be by far and away the favorite, and then next week you can start with confidence, but right now,
you have him on your
it's a little questionable.
But you won't have him by then if you're not believing it to begin with, unless you finish last.
True. Yeah, true. Yeah. All right. You probably finished last if you drafted this guy thinking he was going to be a superstar, even though he did put up a decent amount of points. I'll give him that. Myles Gaskin against Buffalo. So it's hard to compare situations, right? But Miami's offensive line it's still bad. It's not as bad as the Steelers, but it's bad. The Steelers played Buffalo last week and see what Najee Harris did on the ground. Myles Gaskin isn't a stud and running back by committee where Malcolm Brown kind of pooped the bed. But I still think Brian Flores is going to give the dead body that is Malcolm Brown carries. Myles Gaskin's not going to be start worthy, I wouldn't say. So I never liked the guy. He's been a fraud. I think I even said ADP dislike. I think I took a shot at him every single one of those videos. And I'm taking the
Every
ultimate
step
shot this
along the
week.
way.
Sit him week 2 against Buffalo. I'm putting my neck out on the line because we're actually keeping records here and there. But yeah, sit him and Elijah Mitchell. Very bold. Alex.
I'm sitting another, I feel like someone in the Myles Gaskin vein, Mike Davis, because I mean, he had his moments, but that offense is just going to get fucking overwhelmed by Tampa. So I'm out on that. And Ezekiel Elliott, for those of you panicking, if you took him at 5, I would panic. I would panic a lot. If you invested money, I would panic even more if you wanted that money back. And I would trade him because I just don't know if it's it. First of all, I mean, they're going to be throwing the ball. They're not keeping up with the Chargers, like without that. And like Pollard looks better to him than me. Watching the game, like not being able to see who's running the ball each time, I notice each time like Pollard, like he was doing better. Just not into. I don't think he's got the workload anymore, and yeah, not about it. Brandon,
real quick before you do want to move on, what are you saying, Brandon?
I was just about to say something about Zeke. I remember he lined up like it was a weird position. It looked like a fullback position, but he was off to the left of the quarterback, and he handed him off. And I was like, "What a dumb play! They're handing it to the fullback." And like the entire play, from start to like when they were heading off the field, I was like, "That was a fullback." I was fully under the impression that was a fullback. And then I saw at the end of the play that was fucking Zeke. I was like, what? He looked terrible.
Yeah.
At least that specific play, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm admittedly a Zeke hater, and I was watching the game every single time he touched the ball. Trash. I just trash. It was, I was very, very adamant on being a hater. But regardless, you'll see later in the week, I disagree with Alex, and I think Zeke is due for a bounce back game this week. Stay tuned.
Not about it, but hey.
Tough matchup, but no. Well, you got well, I guess I'm the only one left. I've got James Robinson. He's gonna be a sit. You saw what Saquon did last week against the Denver Broncos defense. Not very much. And James Robinson couldn't even do it against the Texans. And that's not even all his fault because whatever the fuck is happening down in Jacksonville, it's beyond James Robinson because this
Urban
man...
Meyer ain't running the ball like the last guy did.
James Robinson had more targets than he did rushing attempts. Like, fuck out of here with that bullshit. Carlos Hyde
had 4 carries. Yeah.
Carlos Hyde
I would...
The disrespect...
I wouldn't be surprised if you keep seeing that. Lawrence threw the ball 55 times, and that's going to keep happening.
It's putrid. I can't. It gives me fucking chills. But
bro, how are they
even regardless of this awful, terrible coaching decisions, I think James Robinson would still be a sit because Denver Broncos defense is stout, especially against the run. You saw against Saquon. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. And another thing is the Houston running backs. Yeah, you just about every single one of them had a touchdown last week, it seems like. Did they? I know David Johnson and Lindsey did.
Mark Ingram did, yeah.
Ingram also did. So yeah, they're all catching touchdowns, running touchdowns, whatever the hell they're doing. But it's not gonna happen this week because Cleveland Browns defensive line is pretty freaking good. CEH didn't have a very good game. Houston's gonna have to win through the air. Well, they're not gonna do much.
They're not gonna win.
They're not gonna win.
But it's not gonna be a running game. So maybe David Johnson gets a garbage time touchdown reception, but I'm not counting on any of these running backs. So Houston running backs, leave them on the bench.
Yeah.
So you went from bottom of the barrel. Let's talk about the top of the barrel. We got running back. Who's going to finish number 1, Alex?
DeAndre Swift. Green Bay's not it.
I'm going with my start, Najee Harris.
I'm going to go chalk. Not after last week. Derrick Henry against Seattle.
It's one of the few times I'd be afraid of chalk, but yeah, man, whatever. All right, let's get some receiver starts. I'm going to go with some not chalk. I'm going to go with one, Jakobi Meyers at the Jets. Solid game, like 7 points, but it was encouraging to me. He got a decent amount of targets. Miami's got a good secondary. The Jets seemed like they gave up a lot of passing yards to Darnold, but not a lot of that went to receivers. I think their receivers only had like 10 catches. Like, it all went to McCaffrey because McCaffrey. But Myers is going to get the looks, and, Aguilar caught a touchdown last week, so this week it's going to be him. And my other guy, solid waiver wire ad if you're totally depleted. I doubt anyone's looking at him. Tim Patrick. Judy went down. I don't know what's going on there. Hamler's inconsistent. I like he's been solid whenever they've needed him before. They've got Jacksonville. He should get some targets. I think he's a sneaky start.
Yeah, solid.
Is this the the guy you were talking about to me? You said you're gonna love my waiver wire ad.
Because Ed is a Tim Patrick denier.
Not even a denier. It's just pure hate. Yeah, I guess it's the hate. Yeah. It's a gross name.
God,
It's really a gross name.
They're just trying to get by in the NFL. And here's Ed on
Hammer.
distance.
Oh,
Get out of
shit.
He's a fly
Throwing
swatter.
eggs at him.
Yeah, get out of here.
It's
Don't want
mean.
any
All right.
part.
Well, who are you starting?
I am starting somebody who did not hot last week, but we talked about it with the quarterback start. If you want to check that out, go check that out. Quarterbacks, tight ends in the same video. But today, got Tyler Boyd starting against Chicago. They only passed the ball like 23 times last week, 20-something times. Wasn't the usual. Tyler Boyd's a really good slot receiver. Obviously, they're going to have big explosive plays, and I think T. Higgins, Jamar Chase going to be able to hold their own this week, but I do think Tyler Boyd's getting a little overlooked based on his, 4.3-point performance, probably 2 points last week. Chicago secondary is not it. It's really not it. And if they get past, if they get a lot of pressure on Joe Burrow, Boyd's going to be right underneath. It was his favorite target in the first couple of weeks last year. I can see coming back. Tyler Boyd, start him. Secondly,
Tread lightly.
it's going to be a real hard one to convince people of. They're going to be like, I don't want to. He put up 0 points. But Kyle Shanahan was on crack last week. He said it in his press conference. You didn't hear him? Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk is going to be a good start this week. Probably not wide receiver 2. Wide receiver 3 is fine. Put up 10 points. I'm fine with it. Against the Eagles, Jimmy G also, this is another instance where teams just didn't pass a lot last week, it seemed. I think they passed for maybe 20 times last week, something like that. Brandon Aiyuk didn't even play half the game. He's going to play more than half the game this week. I really don't got nothing. I just think he's going to have a bounce back game. It's kind of like Zeke. The bounce back, I see it happening. He's definitely not getting 0 points. And if he does, you can come back to this episode and say, this didn't age well, like I've been told 6 times in the past week because I had a bad week last week. This is a good week, and I can feel with Brandon Aiyuk. That's it.
Well, I have him in 2 leagues, and I am sitting him until I see he has a good week.
Until he plays.
But hell, if he comes out and balls out, then you're proving everyone wrong.
I'm going to go 100% this week. I'm telling you. Maybe not tight ends, but wide receivers. I'm going 100%. Running backs, 100%. Everything's 100%, I'm telling you.
I said that last week. You saw how that went. It was barely 50%. It wasn't 50. All right, I'm going to save one of my starts because Ed's going to try and contradict me. And so my first start is Mike Williams against the Dallas Cowboys. Defensively, you know how they be. They suck. They're bad at defense. So start Mike Williams. Come on. Mike Williams had a solid week last week against a really good Washington defense. And I think if you watch the last episode, Herbert is going to be quarterback. The quarterback 1. Count it, write it down, ship it to your address for 2 weeks later. You're going to see that Herbert and Mike Williams are going to ball out. You're going to know it. You told yourself back then.
2 weeks ago.
Through the mail.
I wouldn't bet on that.
All right. And then you got Antonio Brown against Atlanta.
As a sit.
As a start. Antonio Brown looked good, and they're using their wide receivers very well. I would say but Mike Evans was, Mike Evans' story. He vanishes, he appears, he's a magician. But Antonio Brown, he's Mr. Consistent. He's been a huge contributor since he's joined this team, and he's had nothing but time with Tom Brady. And you're seeing it now that he is really good. He's still good, and he's going to be a start this week against a horrible defense and a team that I think people are sleeping on because I think they're going to be able to put points up. I don't think it's going to be as bad as last week, but
worse.
Antonio Brown is still my start, regardless.
So
this is the question, really. It's not really. I mean, this is like
I'll give you the answer.
You choose, right?
Let's hear the counter argument.
Which one's better? What was the real story, right? Eagles Falcons. Was the Falcons offense just putrid, or the Eagles defense good?
I don't think we're gonna know until this week.
I just left guard is still going to be nobody. So
how much has really changed for the Falcons other than losing Julio, he's been hurt?
They sucked last year. Their line got worse.
Okay, maybe their line got worse, but does that really make Matt Ryan's a dud? Like complete dud? Like he's gonna be able to put up.
Did last week?
He's got two talented receivers. He's got Gage, who has shown
that he
can put
last week.
Yeah.
0 of 2 last week.
They need to adjust. I'm not saying they're going to be fucking rocket scientists out there playing football, but they're going to.
Not.
About Ed? Skinnity sits to your counterpoint.
It's pretty much just. I think there's going to be early on. I think the Buccaneers going to get their points, and it's going to be Mike Evans getting the points. I don't think Antonio Brown's not going to touch the ball, but I don't think he's going to be getting the 60-yard touchdown and like the big bombs. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's a sit. I think expectations are probably pretty high, especially after last week. And then you got to take a chill pill. He's still good. He's still good. I'll give you that. But I don't think he's good enough to start this week. That's as simple as that. Marquise Brown. I'm pissed about the Ravens. That's pretty much what it is. So he looked good last week. Give him that. But so did Sammy Watkins. Well, to us, it was last night because we're recording this on Tuesday. But last night, I bet $75 on the Ravens to win in the fourth quarter. And it was a heartache. But it didn't happen. I didn't get my money. I lost my money. Regardless. Marquise Brown, he looked good. Don't think he's going to look good against Kansas City. Last year, he didn't do too hot against Kansas City either. I think Kansas City has Lamar's card. And, the offensive line is so sickening. It's so gross. The amount of pressure and then the indecisiveness from Lamar. I just don't like the offense as a whole. That's pretty much it.
All these run-heavy teams just really struggling between the Titans and now the Ravens. It's just struggling. Alex, what about your teams?
Said Adam Thielen. This is kind of superstition based. I mean, Arizona was locking down Tennessee wideouts, and I mean that might not necessarily happen, but Adam Thielen scored twice last week, and I'm going to bet on it not happening again because that's just what the law of averages says. But if he scores 2 touchdowns again, then good for him. I'm also sitting Robby Anderson. I know everyone's excited about that bomb. That bomb was his only catch. Darnold threw the ball 35 times, and only 3 of them went to Robby Anderson. I'm not liking the distribution of this. If this is going to be consistent, it's not going to go well. And they get to go against the Saints instead of the Jets. And yes, all what the Saints did. So I wouldn't really count on Anderson getting that catch again.
Yeah, Robby Anderson for like season long is scary to me because like Robby Anderson last season was the short yards guy.
Yeah, Moore was the deep guy.
Back.
And now we've just flip-flopped.
Now it's
Moore has been the short guy. I think Moore had 6 catches and I believe like 7, 8, 9 targets. Some shit like that at least. And then obviously McCaffrey. But it's just weird how like in a season Joe Brady has one game, but
even Terrace Marshall had more targets than Robby Anderson. It's crazy.
Yeah, receivers in general, they had 10 catches, I think. It was like Moore with 6, Marshall with 3, I believe,
That's
and Anderson
wild.
with 1. Like McCaffrey had like 8 or 9 himself, so get used to that. But hey, granted, I didn't realize that. You went with the other one,
What's that?
DJ Moore.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't even get to my sets. I was thinking we were done. Yeah. So my first set is DJ Moore. Basically because of the reasons we were just talking about. I just don't think this is going to be. He's going against Marshawn Lattimore, although he was on an injury report, I believe I saw today.
He was hurt in the game. I don't know what happened,
but if he plays, I think DJ Moore might struggle against them. This will be. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's taken his reins back, and when DJ Moore is going against a all-star cornerback, it makes me a little worried when they've got Christian McCaffrey to easily give the ball to and have success in that way. So that makes me a little scared on DJ Moore this week. And then you got Corey Davis against New England. I think New England's defense has improved tremendously since last season. And Corey Davis, he was the only guy there pretty much. I think last week. Who was hurt? Is Crowder back?
Crowder was hurt. Keelan Cole was out. Okay. Elijah Moore just disappeared.
Yeah. So things are going to change. Corey Davis won't be the only guy. Hopefully one of the running backs steps up and does something. But I think the Patriots are going to blow the Jets out, honestly. But
good.
Yeah, I think Alex had the wrong Patriots. By the way, I think it's going to be Nelson Aguilar. Just gonna put that out there as a start. Nelson Aguilar, you got a free tidbit here.
Myers.
Free tidbit.
Myers is the better player. Always follow the talent. Speaking of following the talent, best receiver this week, Keenan Allen.
I thought you were about to say follow us.
No.
We bring the talent. My best receiver is Davante Adams. You have a bounce back game against Detroit.
2 touchdowns. Mike Evans. Big bomb.
That on record, Alex? He doesn't get that. That's -3.
Right. -3.
It's on record.
There we are. It's on record. I wrote it down. Alrighty. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Check us out on social media. We don't even use it anymore, but we do. So do it. And check out the website. First choice. Deuces.
Later on.